Okay, I have 10 seconds. Okay, up in the air. Ready to go? So, your turn. That's all. You're on.
Hello, my name is Stuart Goche, County Agent with the LSU Ag Center, and welcome to Get It Growing with the Lafayette Master Gardeners. Today we have with us a special guest, Ms. Kim Herman. She's an employee at Wild Birds Unlimited here in Lafayette, and she's going to be teaching us some things that we can be doing in our gardens this time of year to keep our birds fat and healthy and to attract maybe some new birds to our landscapes. Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about, we thought we'd start out talking about a very important food that we want to try to feed, and that's suet. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what exactly suet is and how we can use it in making maybe some things that are not only good for the birds to eat, but maybe also ornamental this time of year.
Okay. Suet is it's a high quality beef kidney fat that is used. There's a lot of calories in the suet, and during the winter time the birds have to have this high fat to keep their bodies warm, and it gives them a lot of energy.
What kind of birds, if you put suet out, what type of birds are you likely to attract?
Woodpeckers are very common in this area, and you'll get some chickadees and some titmice. But the more seeds that you put, the higher, like the peanuts or the woodpecker blend, the woodpeckers just love it.
They love it. Well, let's see how we can use it here to maybe make some feeders. So you've taken the suet out of the container.
Yes.
And you've put it in this pot and kind of heated it a little bit here where it's now turned into a liquid.
Right. And this is what it looks like. And what I'm going to do is you want to put your fire on your burner or your fire on real low. You don't want to burn the suet. And then you add about a 1/4 cup of peanut butter.
So you've added about a 1/4 cup of peanut butter, and this is about a 10-ounce container of suet.
Right. And I'm just going to put a little bit more because I like my suet to be a little bit more on the gourmet side.
And I notice you're using the crunchy peanut butter.
I like all the nuts that I can get.
You like the crunchy peanut butter rather than the smooth.
That's it. And you can use either one of them.
You can use either one.
That's right. And you go ahead and you melt it down. And when it's melted, then you go ahead and you add your seeds. And at Wild Birds Unlimited, we have all different kind of seeds that you could use. I like the woodpecker blend myself. This is using the suet mixed with the woodpecker blend. If you notice, there's a variety of seeds in it. You have your peanut, you have cashews, almonds, sunflower, cracked corn, safflower. It's just one of my favorites. But you can use any kind of seeds. When this is melted down, and my fire, I need to pick it up a little higher. When it's melted down, you add your seeds in it.
Okay, well, why don't we let this melt for a little while? You turn the fire up there, and let's talk a little more about suet and other things that you can maybe go ahead and do. With the suet, once you make this, how long will this stay good? What can you do to preserve it? If you leave it out at room temperature, obviously you can't probably use it the next year, but you want to put it out and use it how quickly?
Okay, suet, just as quick as you make it, it hardens. It's almost like the consistency of wax. It's used a lot to take the seeds, and when it dries, it becomes very hard. And I made these last night, and within 30 seconds, it was hard and ready to go. What I do is, like, if I make a batch of it, what I don't use, you can put in the refrigerator or the freezer, and it stays fresh for about 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months. And once you put this suet out, do you find that it goes pretty quickly? Like, how much would you need to make at a time? And I guess that depends on how many birds you're trying to feed. But
well, this right here, this one pack that I got made all of what you're seeing on the table. So it goes very large, and we also have this in a larger pack. So one batch makes quite a bit.
And you'd probably, if you put this out, how long would this last in your yard?
Well, it depends upon the person's yard.
And how many birds they have. But for the average person's yard,
I would say this would probably last maybe about 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks, right? But a lot of times, like, I just like to make it, and it's the one thing that I really enjoy doing this is you can be as creative as you want to be. It's unlimited to what you do with it.
Now, you were telling me once they harden, you can take them and put them in some little feeders.
Right, right. This is a very common feeder, and what you can do is once when it's made, you can put it in just a regular little Tupperware container, and you can take it out of here and cut it in half if you want, or put the whole piece in here. Sometimes, some of the feeders that we have at Wild Birds Unlimited can actually hold the consistency of a container this big. And that's just a regular Tupperware container. Put it in there, it dries instantly, pop it out and put it in your feeder, and it's ready to go. And then if you want to get a little bit more decorative, this is just a regular Jell-O mold, and all I did was put the soot in there, let it dry, and then this is what I use to make this wreath right here. And another thing, like with children, because of the holidays, this right here, very, very inexpensive. It's wonderful to use. You pour your soot in here, and then when it hardens, you can take it, and if you notice, to hang on a tree outside. I left it in the container just as is, like this, and I put a ribbon on it to add color outdoors. And then if you don't want to do it like that, then you can strip this off, form it like this, and then wrap it with just regular saran wrap and put it in a gift basket. It's a wonderful craft for mothers and dads to do with their children over the holidays.
And it seems real simple and easy for a kid to get involved in.
Oh.
I know that kids really like, feeding the birds outside and watching birds, and it seems like it's a neat little thing that they can cook.
It's simple, and it's very inexpensive, and it's wonderful because it gives the children the opportunity to just be as creative. I mean, you can even use things like Jell-O molds. Just a child can just do whatever they want to do, and it's so nice when they know that they've made it, and they're wonderful gifts to give to teachers or to the grandparents. I mean, a basket like this, when I made this last night, this is probably no more than $5. This was just a basket that I had, and I just threw this together, under $5. You can't beat that, when you spend time with the children and give them the opportunity to be creative over the holidays.
And do something good for wildlife as well. Why don't we look? It looks like it's heating up a little bit now. We can kind of show them how the consistency has kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's you see how it's actually watery. But once when it becomes hardened, when it starts to cool off, and sometimes I even take mine, and to increase the process, I put it in the freezer, and it just, within a minute, it's ready to go.
Even quicker.
Right. I'm going to go ahead real quick and this is one of our blends. This is our Supreme. The Supreme is mixed up of the sunflower oil, and we have safflower, and we have the sunflower chips in it. And I'm just going to go ahead and take some of this and put it inside. And you can just pour it, you can use 2 to 3 cups, but
you can just kind of guesstimate a little bit.
Yeah, you just can kind of guess, and once when it's mixed up real well and ready, I'll just take my spatula, I'll mix it up. And you can't mess up on it. The only thing that you can do is if you add too much peanut butter, then it's not going to harden.
Or it'll stay a little soft if you put too much peanut butter.
It'll stay soft, right.
So this is a recipe that it's hard for a cook to mess up.
That's it. You can't.
Very, very easy.
That's it. And once when it's made like this, and as you can see, there's a lot of liquidy content in it. But this is it. And I mean, if you want to add something else to it, you can do that. It's unlimited. You can add oatmeal in it. You can add cornmeal in it. Once when it's finished, I just pour it in the pans like this, tap the top, kind of get it level. It's really simple. You can use pipe cleaners and put pipe cleaners in it. Before you do this, you can put a pipe cleaner in it, and then when it hardens, you can get this little design and you can hang it on the tree just like that. Take the wrap off and it's ready to go. Another thing that you can do real quick is once when it's mixed like this, you take the peanut butter, and first you use the lard and the peanut butter. Then you dip the pine cone, which what this is, you dip the pine cone in it. Then you take a little plastic container, something along this line, fill it up with the seeds. Take the pine cone, turn it upside down because you want the seeds to drop into the pine cone. So you just take the seeds, pour it in here, and it's ready to go. And that's another option that the children can do over the holidays. And that's about it. You know, it's a simple recipe, it's fun to do, and it's wonderful to have for the winter time.
What are these? I'm noticing some of the decorations you made here. It almost looks like a fruit cake,
Yeah.
but the red.
Yes, this right here, I used the suet, a lot of peanut butter, and just to bring out, because of the Christmas season, I used fresh cranberries. You can use cranberries, you can use raisins, apple pieces. It's unlimited. And birds, just as much as they like the seeds, they also like fruit. And this one right here, when I made this one, I used just strictly the peanuts in this one. And then this one is our woodpecker blend, which is the blend that has just every seed that we can possibly sell at the store.
Now, I know one thing that we get a lot of calls out at the county agent's office is when we put often bird seed out, we get a lot of uninvited guests also try to come and eat the bird seed or get in the bird feeders. And I guess the main thing we'll get questions about are squirrels. What can we do if we put this out and squirrels are causing a problem?
Yes, squirrels is a very, very common problem that we hear about. And squirrels just like to eat any kind of nuts that you can, but we have this one seed, it's called safflower. And if you don't want the squirrels, this is your solution. Safflower, a lot of people think that it looks like sunflower chips, which it does. It's more white than your sunflower chips. But the safflower feeds all your birds. The advantage about it is the squirrels don't like it because it has a very sour and bitter taste. So you can still feed your birds and not worry about the squirrels. And you can use that in the suet mixture, and it'll solve that problems of your squirrels.
So if you put some of the safflower in this mix, then it would be very unlikely that the squirrels would be less tempted by it.
I wouldn't, if I did that, I would use just the suet. I would not put the peanut butter mix in there because chances are good your squirrels are going to smell that peanut butter and they'll eat that.
And they'll pick the...
But I would use just the suet and just the sunflower mix, and that'll solve your problem.
That'll solve the problem. Okay. Wanted to talk a little bit about hummingbirds because that's another bird that we see a lot here in Acadiana. Do we have hummingbirds this time of year?
Yes, a lot of people think that during the winter that the birds are all gone. A lot of times the birds stay throughout the whole year. And one of the most common birds that we have is called a rufous. They look like your ruby throats. They're small, but they're all brown. And another thing is during the winter time, we try to encourage the customers to keep the hummingbird nectar out. The only thing that would change is the consistency of the sugar in the water. We ask our customers to cut down the amount of water. So we use 3 cups of water to 1 cup of sugar during the winter time.
So you make a little stronger mix.
Right, right. And if anybody's interested, this Friday at 7 o'clock at Jack and Rose's house, we're going to be doing what's called a hummingbird banning. And Dave Patton, who is licensed, will be the one who's going to be doing the banning. Very educated. Another wonderful thing, you know, Wild Birds Unlimited, one of our motto is to bring people and nature together. And, you know, I've been employed with Wild Birds for 2 years, and it's just wonderful for the customers to come in and for them to share some of the things that they do. And in Wild Birds, not only do we cater to birds, but we have things like bat houses, bluebird houses, ladybug houses, wood duck houses. We have all kinds of feeders. I mean, we really do cater to nature. And it's a wonderful experience to hear the families coming in and sharing different testimonies of what they've experienced in their backyard. And we have what's called Chat Day. And so people can come into Wild Birds Unlimited at 9 o'clock, and we just kind of hang out at the store for a little while, and then we'll go into somebody's yard and be able to witness something that you just normally don't see. So.
Wanted to maybe touch just a little bit on what kind of birds in the next few weeks, that if we start putting these suet feeders out and we start putting some seed out, what kind of birds we might see this time of year in the landscape.
Okay, well right now you're going to start being able to witness, they're called goldfinches. They are about the size of like a little sparrow, a little bit smaller. And they're called goldfinches because they are gold and black, but because of our area, and right now, they're more like an olive greenish color. And they're very, very plentiful. They are the happiest little birds. They just make music to your ears, and they enjoy eating thistle. But if you keep your eyes open in your yard right now, you're going to start seeing them.
We're going to start seeing some goldfinches this time of year.
Right.
And then if we have hummingbird feeders out, we might see
yeah, you'll see some of the rufuses. And right, you know, like the month of October is one of the slowest months for us because a lot of the birds, they eat into the wilderness. They eat the natural seeds. And so October's kind of a slow time. But after when October's over with, like right now, you're going to start seeing more cardinals. You're going to start seeing more mockingbirds and blue jays. Right now at my house, I'm feeding chickadees, titmice, house finches, mockingbirds, just a variety of birds.
So as they start running out of food on a lot of the native plants that we have, then you'll, especially if you're putting food out, you're going to start noticing them a lot more, especially. So what's probably like the peak month for attracting birds with feed?
Honey, you can have birds all year round.
You keep putting
food,
it out there.
Food and water. That's the two things.
Put food, they will come. They're going to come out there.
That's it.
Okay. We talked a little bit about you know, seeing goldfinches. Do you find with the hurricanes this year that y'all are getting maybe the birds are arriving later or earlier, or it's made any impact on the birds here in Acadiana?
Well, we think that the hurricane did have some effect. There was a couple of weeks where there just wasn't any birds at all, and it really kind of took a toll. But they're back, and it's kind of common. It spooks the birds off for a while, but they do come back. And I know in my yard right now, all the birds that I normally would have seen, the cardinals, the blue jays, I always had like 8, 12 cardinals. Well, they're coming back.
They're starting to come back now.
Right, right.
And if we would take this suet feeder and put it out there, and we might not see the birds eating on it, is that sometimes a common question that you would get? Well, I put the bird seed out, but you know, nothing's coming to eat it.
It is.
How long do we need to leave it out before we expect, or why might that be the cause? What might be causing that?
Sometimes the birds just have to be able to find the suet, and once when they find it, they'll go straight into it and start picking. And even if it has like a little discolor to it, that's not going to affect the birds from eating. They just have to find it first. And one thing that's really positive is once when they find it, it's almost like they expect it to always be there. So as long as you keep that suet out, the birds are going to be coming.
They're going to be coming unless, like you said, sometimes October is maybe a slow month. If they
Might be slow.
You may have maybe a lot of other plants around your garden that they're feeding in, but when they run out of that source, then they'll be moving into. And I know this year, just driving around, I've seen there are a lot of plants. Hollies are one that I guess I do notice a lot of birds feeding in the holly bushes, the pyracantha.
Right.
And I've kind of like with you, after the hurricane, it seemed like it had kind of knocked back their population, or they had moved out. But I'm starting to see a lot of birds, I know, in my yard as well.
You know, you're talking about gardening. I wanted to share one thing with you. A lot of times, like, we'll have customers that'll come in, and sometimes the birds will literally throw out the seeds onto the ground. And when you're trying to bring beautiful bird feeders into a garden, you've got problems with some of the seeds sprouting at the bottom. Well, we have a blend of seeds called No Mess. It's made up of sunflower chips, peanuts, and a little bit of cracked corn. And if you want to put a bird feeder in your garden, this is the blend that's wonderful, because
and you don't
it does
have to worry
not
about having weeds coming
That's
up, or
right.
seeds coming up everywhere.
Right, and the good thing about it is it's all edible. You don't have anything left over. That's why it's called No Mess. It doesn't sprout. It's just a wonderful blend of seeds. At my house, that's the one. I always have that one, and I always have the woodpecker blend. Those are my two favorites. But
I know one question we get a lot this time of year too, and I don't have a fruit here to show, but we do get a lot of damage on citrus from birds. And birds will tend to like the oil and the peeling on citrus, and people will plant sometimes satsuma trees in their yard, or lemons or grapefruit. And a lot of times it's early in the year, grackles and blackbirds especially will get on citrus fruits, and they'll scratch the fruit. And then when the fruit are harvested this time of year, very often you'll see all these brown marks or little pecks on the fruit. And that is something that especially people that live in town will often have a lot of bird damage on their citrus fruit. The good thing is that it's merely just cosmetic. It's in the peeling of the fruit, but it does scarp a lot of fruit. And I would say this time of year, probably once or twice a week, we'll have a call. Somebody will bring some fruit by, and what's scratching up my fruit? And it's usually bird damage, and it's usually old bird damage that occurred very early in the year, sometime probably back in May or June. And it's really not anything that we can do anything about for the most part.
Well, you know, one thing that's an advantage, if you have fruit trees, ladybugs are known for helping solve that problem. Like, ladybugs like to eat those little mealy...
right, ladybugs will like to eat mealybugs and aphids. And,
right. And that's an advantage. If you have that, we sell the ladybug houses, and putting those in gardens, the ladybugs come to that by the hundreds, and it's wonderful if you have fruit trees. It'll help solve that problem. But a lot of times, like, as long as you feed those birds and kind of keep it separated from the fruit trees, it can help solve that problem.
I would figure I couldn't let this show in without asking, what is your favorite bird?
The eastern bluebird. I love it. It's a very, very, as crazy as it may sound, it's a very family-orientated bird. It has a turquoise blue body and a reddish-brown breast, and I feed them live mealworms. And this past summer, I had the opportunity of feeding 3 families and 9 babies, and they're wonderful to have. It's a mealworm box that specializes strictly for the eastern bluebird, and it has the holes in it, whereas the bluebird can actually go in it. Has a front view with the acrylic so that you can actually see them eat, and you could go up to them 2 feet and film them and watch them eat. They love the mealworms, and we keep mealworms in the shop all year round. There's a lot of people out there that love the eastern bluebirds. That's one of
when would we want to start trying to feed bluebirds?
The eastern bluebirds, they usually come around March, April, May, around that time. So, and sometimes sometimes depending upon the area or where you are, they may stay throughout the whole year. But the eastern bluebirds are more like for out in the country. Very seldom you'll ever find anybody that has them that lives in a
lives in
subdivision
town. That's what
or
I've heard, that
residential.
maybe they like to be more out in the open. Maybe there's a tree line or a field,
Right.
and they're not really as common in urban situations.
Right, and they're one of the most friendliest birds. We even have a bluebird house that one part of it you can open it up and it's a piece of a plexiglass where you can actually see the nest, and then the other side you open it up and you can actually clean out the nest. So it's really nice to have.
We want to thank Ms. Kim Herman from Wild Birds Unlimited for being our guest today. And that's all the time we have for today's show. We want to thank you for joining us with Get It Growing with the Lafayette Master Gardeners.
Thank you for having me. I appreciated being here.